Japanese oldest doctor. Just eat these every day and you will live to 100. Have you ever wondered why you feel older than your actual age? Perhaps you wake up with unexplained aches, find yourself forgetting simple things, or notice your energy vanishing by mid-afternoon. The fear isn't just about dying. It's about losing your independence, becoming a burden to your loved ones, or missing precious moments with your grandchildren because your body and mind are failing you too soon. I understand this fear deeply. After watching my father decline rapidly in his 60s, despite following all the standard Western medical advice, I began a journey that led me to the remarkable story I'm about to share with you. Before I continue, if you're concerned about your health and longevity, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell. I share science-backed wisdom for vibrant aging every week, and according to my subscribers, this information has been life-changing. Your subscription helps our community grow and ensures you won't miss critical insights that could add healthy years to your life. Let me tell you about Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara. When I first discovered his story, I was stunned. This Japanese physician lived to 105 years old. But that's not what amazed me. What's extraordinary is that he was still seeing patients, writing books, and giving lectures until just months before his peaceful passing. At 100 years old, he was more active and sharp-minded than many 65-year-olds. I remember thinking, what did he know that the rest of us don't? The answer wasn't complicated medical treatments or expensive supplements. In fact, Dr. Hinohara laughed at how overcomplicated modern approaches to longevity had become. During an interview in his 100s, he said something that changed my perspective forever. People always ask me for the pills I take for longevity. I tell them I take no pills at all. My medicine is on my plate, in simple foods eaten daily. As Dr. Bob, with 50 years in medicine and now 78 years old myself, I've spent the last decade studying the secrets of the world's longest-lived people. Today, I'm going to share the 5 essential foods and principles that Dr. Hinohara and other Japanese centenarians consumed daily, practices so powerful yet simple that they've helped create more centenarians in Japan than anywhere else on Earth. And pay special attention to number 4. It's the most overlooked food that Western longevity experts completely miss, yet it's responsible for remarkable brain protection as we age. 1. Practice Hara Hachi Bu. Eat until 80% full. Let me share a story about my first visit to Okinawa, Japan, home to the highest concentration of centenarians in the world. I was invited to dinner with a 98-year-old woman named Haruko. Before the meal, she gently clasped her hands together and whispered something. When I asked my translator what she said, he explained, "She's reminding herself of Hara Hachibu, to eat until only 80% full." I was confused. How does she know when she's 80% full? My translator smiled and said, "By the time you feel full, you've already overeaten. Haruko stops when she no longer feels hungry, not when she feels full." This simple principle, eating until you're 80% full, is practiced by virtually every long-lived Okinawan. Modern science now confirms what these centenarians knew intuitively. Chronic slight caloric restriction without malnutrition activates longevity pathways in our cells. When researchers studied the eating patterns of Okinawan centenarians, they discovered they naturally consumed about 1,800 calories daily, about 10 to 15% less than their estimated requirements. This created a state of mild caloric restriction that triggers protective cellular mechanisms. But here's what's fascinating: they never counted calories. They simply stopped eating before feeling full. I began practicing Hara Hachi Bu 3 years ago. Within 6 months, my inflammatory markers dropped significantly. My sleep improved, and most surprisingly, the chronic knee pain I'd had for a decade diminished considerably. The emptiness you feel when first adopting this practice isn't hunger. It's just the absence of uncomfortable fullness we've mistakenly accepted as normal. After a few weeks, your body recalibrates, and this way of eating becomes second nature. To practice Hara Hachi Bu, eat slowly, putting your utensils down between bites. Check in with your hunger level. Mid-meal, stop when you're no longer hungry, but before you feel full. Use smaller plates and bowls as a visual cue. Wait 20 minutes before deciding if you need more food. This principle alone could add healthy years to your life, but it's just the beginning. 2. Daily plant proteins. especially soy. Dr. Hinohara once told a reporter something that shocked many Westerners. "I have not eaten meat in 75 years." When I first read this, as someone raised in a culture where protein means animal products, I was skeptical. How could a centenarian physician maintain such vitality without animal protein? The answer lies in his daily consumption of plant proteins, particularly soy in forms like tofu, edamame, and occasionally natto. Let me tell you about Mrs. Tanaka, a 103-year-old woman I interviewed in Tokyo. When I asked about her eating habits, she laughed and said through my translator, "I eat tofu every day, sometimes twice. My American daughter-in-law says I should eat more meat for protein, but look at her with all her health problems at just 70 and look at me at 103. The science supports Mrs. Tanaka's experience. A large study published in JAMA Internal Medicine found that women consuming the highest amounts of plant protein had a 12% lower risk of premature death from all causes compared to those eating the least. For Dr. Hinohara, tofu was a daily staple. He credited it with keeping his arteries clean and his digestion smooth well past his 100th birthday. The isoflavones in soy foods have been shown to reduce inflammation, lower cholesterol, and even protect brain function as we age. When I introduced daily tofu into my diet, I noticed improvements in my cholesterol profile within just 2 months. My cardiologist was amazed and asked what changes I'd made. Simple ways to incorporate more plant proteins. Begin your day with a small serving of tofu scramble. Keep frozen edamame on hand for quick protein snacks. Add a small cube of firm tofu to your morning miso soup. Experiment with tempeh as a meat alternative. Mix a tablespoon of hemp seeds into your breakfast. Remember, Dr. Hinohara wasn't dogmatic about complete vegetarianism. He occasionally enjoyed fish, particularly small fish like sardines, which provided omega-3 fatty acids without the heavy metal concerns of larger fish. 3. Fermented foods. Miso, Natto. The secret to longevity begins in your gut. That's what Dr. Hinohara told me when I had the honor of meeting him at a medical conference just before his 103rd birthday. At the time, his statement seemed overly simplistic to me, trained in Western medicine as I was. Now, cutting-edge microbiome research is proving him right. Let me tell you about my personal experience with fermented foods. After decades of chronic digestive issues that numerous specialists couldn't resolve, I began eating small amounts of miso soup daily, as Dr. Hinohara suggested. Within weeks, symptoms that had plagued me for years began to improve. When I mentioned this to Dr. Hinohara, he nodded knowingly and said, "Modern medicine focuses on killing bad bacteria. Traditional Japanese longevity focuses on feeding good bacteria." For centuries, Japanese centenarians have consumed fermented foods daily, particularly miso and natto. These aren't just cultural preferences, they're powerful probiotic-rich foods that modern science now recognizes as crucial for health span. A recent study in the journal Microbiome found that centenarians have distinctly different gut bacteria compositions compared to younger adults, with higher diversity and particular strains associated with longevity. Dr. Hinohara consumed miso soup most mornings, often with a small piece of tofu and seaweed. He explained that this combination provided beneficial bacteria that improve gut barrier function, anti-inflammatory compounds that protect the cardiovascular system, natural enzymes that enhance digestion and nutrient absorption, immunomodulatory effects that balance immune response. For those unfamiliar with natto, I'll be honest. Its sticky texture and pungent aroma can be challenging for Western palates. I couldn't tolerate it initially. But as Dr. Hinohara advised, start with just a teaspoon mixed with rice and some mustard. Your taste will adapt as your body recognizes its benefits. He was right. I now enjoy a small serving of natto twice weekly, and my inflammatory markers have decreased significantly. Simple ways to incorporate fermented foods. Begin each day with a small bowl of miso soup. Try a teaspoon of natto mixed with rice. Start small. Add naturally fermented pickles as a side dish. Incorporate a small amount of kimchi with meals. Consider unsweetened kefir if you tolerate dairy. The key is consistency. Small daily amounts provide more benefit than occasional larger servings. 4. Japanese sweet potatoes, now to the food that Dr. Hinohara called the forgotten longevity star, one that's central to Okinawan centenarians yet almost completely overlooked in Western longevity research. Japanese purple sweet potatoes. When researchers analyzed the traditional Okinawan diet, they were astonished to discover that sweet potatoes, particularly the purple-fleshed variety, constituted over 60% of their daily caloric intake. These aren't the orange sweet potatoes common in America, but a specific purple variety with white flesh that has been a staple in Okinawa for centuries. I remember visiting an Okinawan village where I met Yoshiko, a 97-year-old woman who still tended her garden daily. When I asked about her diet, she led me to her garden and proudly pulled a purple sweet potato from the ground. "I eat these every day of my life," she said through my translator. "They give strength and clarity." Initially skeptical, I researched the nutritional profile of these sweet potatoes and found they contain unique anthocyanin antioxidants that protect brain cells, resistant starch that feeds beneficial gut bacteria, compounds that regulate blood sugar and reduce inflammation, high potassium content that supports cardiovascular health, slow-digesting carbohydrates that provide sustained energy. Dr. Hinohara incorporated Japanese sweet potatoes into his diet most days, often simply steamed and eaten with a small amount of fermented vegetable. He credited them with providing sustainable energy throughout his long workdays well into his 100s. When I began eating these regularly after returning from Japan, I noticed a remarkable difference in my sustained energy levels compared to other carbohydrate sources. Finding authentic Japanese purple sweet potatoes might require visiting Asian markets, but even the orange varieties common in Western stores provide many benefits, though with slightly different antioxidant profiles. To incorporate sweet potatoes the longevity way. Steam or bake rather than frying. Eat them with the skin when possible. Combine with a small amount of healthy fat for nutrient absorption. Consider replacing 1 grain serving daily with sweet potato. Allow them to cool after cooking to increase resistant starch content. This simple root vegetable, consumed consistently, may be one of the most powerful longevity foods ever studied. 5. Balanced, joyful lifestyle. Food alone didn't account for Dr. Hinohara's remarkable longevity and vitality. His approach to eating was embedded in a philosophy of living that's equally important. During our conversation, he shared wisdom that initially surprised me. "I never worry about what I should not eat. I focus joyfully on what I should eat." This mindset difference is profound. Western approaches to longevity often focus on restriction and negation. Don't eat this, avoid that, eliminate these foods. Dr. Hinohara's approach was additive and joyful. Include these nourishing foods daily, find pleasure in simple meals, and never let food rules burden your spirit. Let me share a moment that illustrates this perfectly. At a medical conference dinner, I watched in amusement as Dr. Hinohara, then 102, accepted a small piece of chocolate cake offered by the host. Noticing my surprise, he smiled and said, "The stress of constant dietary perfection creates more harm than occasionally enjoying a treat with gratitude." Beyond food, his daily habits included taking the stairs whenever possible, even in his 100s, carrying his own bags and remaining self-sufficient, maintaining a clear sense of purpose through continued work, prioritizing connection with others across generations, finding moments of joy in small daily pleasures. Research now confirms the wisdom of his approach. A 2023 study in the Journal of Happiness Studies found that perceived joy and purpose were stronger predictors of longevity than many biological markers. Dr. Hinohara summarized his philosophy beautifully. We all want to live long, but the goal isn't simply adding years. The goal is maintaining youthfulness within those years through daily choices that honor the body's wisdom. Additional supporting habits. These 5 core principles formed the foundation of Dr. Hinohara's longevity diet, but there were additional supporting habits worth mentioning. First, he emphasized vegetable variety, aiming to include at least 5 different colored vegetables daily. This naturally provided a wide spectrum of phytonutrients and antioxidants. Second, he consumed small amounts of white rice with most meals, always eating it last to blunt its glycemic impact. Unlike many Western dietary approaches that vilify all grains, the Japanese centenarian approach incorporates small amounts of rice balanced with vegetables, fermented foods, and plant proteins. Third, Dr. Hinohara drank green tea throughout the day, particularly a variety called kukicha, or twig tea, which is lower in caffeine but rich in L-theanine, an amino acid that promotes calm focus. Most surprising to me was his advice about dairy. Unlike many longevity diets that eliminate dairy entirely, Dr. Hinohara consumed small amounts of yogurt several times weekly, believing its calcium content and beneficial bacteria supported bone health and immunity. When I asked him about supplements, his answer was characteristically straightforward. Nature packages nutrients together for a reason. I get my vitamins from food, not pills. The only exception was vitamin D during winter months when sun exposure was limited. Conclusion. As we conclude our journey through Dr. Hinohara's longevity wisdom, let's summarize the 5 essential daily practices that supported his remarkable 105 years of vibrant living. Practice Hara Hachi Bu. Stop eating when you're 80% full, naturally creating a slight caloric restriction that activates longevity pathways. Consume plant proteins daily, particularly tofu and other minimally processed soy foods that support cardiovascular and brain health. Include fermented foods with every day, especially miso and occasionally natto, to nourish your microbiome and support immune function. Eat Japanese sweet potatoes regularly. These overlooked longevity stars provide sustained energy, brain protection, and gut-healthy resistant starch. Approach eating with joy and balance. Focus on what to include rather than what to avoid, and never let food rules become a source of stress. These principles don't require expensive supplements, complicated meal plans, or extreme restrictions. They represent food wisdom refined over centuries in Japanese culture and validated by modern science. My own journey adopting these principles at age 75 has transformed my health. My inflammatory markers have decreased, my energy has improved, and most importantly, I've reclaimed a sense of vibrant well-being I thought was lost to age. Before you go, if you found value in today's video, please take a moment to like and subscribe. Your engagement helps others discover this life-changing information. I truly believe these simple principles can transform your health journey just as they did mine and Dr. Hinohara's. Each subscription helps our community of wisdom grow, and I'm committed to bringing you the most valuable, evidence-based longevity insights every week. As Dr. Hinohara said in his final public lecture at age 104, "The most powerful medicine isn't found in hospitals or pharmacies. It's found in your daily choices and on your plate. Choose wisely, choose joyfully, and choose consistently." Thank you for joining me today. I'm Dr. Bob, wishing you